All right, let's get right into it. If you're trying to break into UX and UI design, you've definitely felt it. That little bit of pressure to, stretch the truth. Today, we're going to tackle that exact problem, how to position yourself honestly and still be someone that companies are excited to hire. The classic catch-22, right? This one sentence is probably the biggest source of anxiety for anyone starting out. It's this crazy loop where you need a job to get experience, but you need experience to even get your foot in the door for a job. It's super frustrating. You've heard the advice, I'm sure. Oh, everyone exaggerates a little, or just tell them it was a real product. It's incredibly confusing. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you a clear, honest path forward. So let's just face this dilemma head on. The pressure to fudge the details on your experience is totally real. It comes from a good place. You just want to compete. But trust me, there's a much, much better way. Now, this right here is the absolute key. See, outright lying is obviously a career killer down the road. But that's not the immediate problem. The thing that trips up most beginners right now is just bad positioning. It's not about what you did, it's about not framing the awesome work you've already done in the right way. So why is this especially true for UX? Well, it's because the entire field is built on thinking, on rationale, on authenticity. And because of that, it's uniquely designed to sniff out when something's not quite right. And this slide really breaks down why. In UX, you can't just show a pretty screen and call it a day. In any decent interview, you are going to get drilled on the why. Why this button? Why this layout? Why this color? Fake experience just completely falls apart under that pressure. And remember this, a recruiter can work with inexperience. They can't work with broken trust. That's a deal breaker, every single time. Okay, let's look at the most common traps people fall into. First up, saying your concept project was a live, shipping product. A hiring manager's first question is going to be about real-world stuff, engineers, budgets, stakeholder fights. If you don't have those stories, the interview is pretty much over. Next, inflating your role. Calling yourself the designer when you were actually an intern or a volunteer just sets expectations you can't possibly meet. It totally misrepresents how much responsibility you actually had. And here's the big one, making up numbers. This is so easy for an experienced manager to spot, it's not even funny. They'll just ask, how? How'd you measure it? What was the baseline? What other marketing campaigns were running? It's a trap that shows you don't really get how business works. Okay, so if lying is completely off the table, what are you supposed to do? Well, the alternative isn't about downplaying your skills. It's about getting really good at the art of positioning. This is it. This is the whole game. Good positioning isn't about making things up. It's about being crystal clear. It's choosing the right professional label for the work you did so that a recruiter can judge you based on what you can actually do. This right here is the golden rule. Just let that sink in for a second. Your goal isn't to pretend you're a senior designer. Your goal is to clearly and confidently show off the skills you have right now. All right, enough theory, let's get super practical. Here's a step-by-step playbook you can start using literally today to position yourself the right way. We're going to break this down into 3 simple steps. First, we'll separate your official title or role from your actual skills. Second, we'll cover how to label your projects with total clarity. And third, we'll show you how to shift the focus from who you worked for to how you think. So let's start with your projects. Look at these labels. Concept redesign, academic project. These are not signs of weakness. They are signals of honesty and professionalism. Using a term like this immediately sets the right expectation and starts building that trust. And here is just a perfect example of this in action. The bad version is a lie that's easy to poke holes in. But the good version, it's describing the exact same work, but it focuses on the skills, exploring decisions, focusing on psychology, thinking about risk. It's just as impressive, but it's 100% honest. This goes for your title too. Be specific, be clear. If you're a beginner looking for that first job, call yourself an entry-level UX/UI designer, not a lead. If you did an internship, that's amazing. Just say UX designer internship. That specificity doesn't make you look weak, it makes you look credible. Okay, so you've done it. Your portfolio and resume are positioned perfectly. Now, it's time for the final boss, the interview. Let's talk about how to turn all this honesty into your single biggest strength when you're talking to a hiring manager. This is it, the question every single junior designer absolutely dreads. The interviewer points to your beautiful case study and says, "So this never actually shipped, right?" How do you answer that without sounding defensive? Here's your answer. Memorize it, you deliver it calmly, you deliver it with confidence, you agree with them, that's true, and then you immediately reframe the conversation. You're telling them the purpose of the project wasn't to ship something, it was to prove you can think like a designer. That shows so much maturity. You want to take it to the next level? Don't even wait for them to ask. Bring it up yourself. Acknowledge the project's limits before they can. This is a massive power move. It shows you're a critical thinker who gets the difference between a school project and a real-world product. Boom, instant trust. So what's the bottom line here? In a huge pool of candidates all trying to sound more senior than they are, your honesty is what makes you rare. It makes you valuable. Hiring managers are absolutely desperate to find people who are self-aware and trustworthy. This is how you become that candidate. Look, if you only take one single thing away from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Experience can be taught on the job. Trustworthiness? Not so much. Your goal isn't to trick someone into thinking you're a senior. It's to convince them you're a trustworthy, high-potential person they want on their team. And that brings us to the final takeaway. Being this honest, well, it might mean you get fewer callbacks. It'll filter out all those companies looking for a senior designer but only willing to pay a junior salary. But the offers you do get, they'll be from teams that see you for who you are and are genuinely excited to invest in your growth. And really, isn't that the kind of job you wanted in the first place?